Hello, grade 11s. Okay, I think let's head straight into it. Let us make. There it is. Let's make it some maths, and let's just jump into a few examples to get us into finance mathematics. Now, today's focus here, I don't need that calculator just yet, but definitely going to need a calculator for this section. For now, we're going to focus on simple interest and growth. Now, to be honest, most of the time we're going to look at compound interest and growth. And the only time we really use simple interest is in hire purchase, which is going to be one of the examples today. So let's just jump straight into it. How much interest is earned if 50,000 Rand is invested for 8 years at 6.8% per annum, simple interest? Okay, so let me get you into this. Here is our new favorite formula, and we need to just put all the information we're given into the formula. So A is what it accrues to, what it builds up to. P is the principal amount. So how much did we initially put in? Well, we initially put in 50,000 Rand. Okay. And let's just do that in a plus. I think I'm going to need more space. Plus 1. Okay. And N is the number of compounding periods or number of years. So we're going at 8 years. And I know that you're just dying to answer a question by now. So here is your chance. And that is the interest is 6.8%, right? 6.8%. So what is that as a decimal? So as a decimal, that's 0,068. Now, I know that there's a percentage button on the calculator and you could put it as 6.8 over 100. Trust me, when we need to just get used to writing this as a decimal. So we're going to have quite a lot of practice in doing this. So our interest rate is 0,068. And there's something we're going to practice doing is, writing that as that. Okay, cool. So into the calculator it goes. I have got one here. You have got one there, or you've got some sort of calculator. And we're just going to punch that in. 50, 1, 2, 3. And we got 1 plus 8 times 0,068, and we go equals, and I should have said what do you get, but you know what, let's just go in nicely. 77,200 Rand. Now my question for you is, we have not answered the question completely. What do we still need to work out if it said how much interest is earned? So how do we finish off this question? Well, to finish it off, I'll leave my calculator there. We need to say, well, our interest that was earned, well, it wasn't, we didn't earn 77,000 Rand 200. What we had was 77,200 coming out when we had put 50,000 in. So our interest is going to be, well, that's already in the calculator. So kind of one of the things that we're going to do in this section is be efficient with our calculator. So I'm not going to retype it. It's already there. Minus 50, 1, 2, 3. Now, what do we get? Well, I get 27,200 Rand. And, I mean, here there were no cents, but obviously we're going to round off to 2 decimal places for our rands and cents at the end of the problem. Okay, so let's dive into another one here. So, as I said at the beginning, this idea of simple interest is only really used for hire purchase agreements. We don't need that. Now, in a hire purchase agreement, money is lent out. All right? I mean, it kind of makes sense. So generally, it's when you want to buy something. So in this story, we're about to get Andy's looking to buy some sort of stereo, maybe a high fidelity stereo, no, a hi-fi. And he's going to need to borrow a certain amount of money. And because it's a hire purchase, it's going to pay a lot of interest on this. But it's not just going to be in the 16% that a lot of interest is going to be paid. How a hire purchase works is that you pay interest on the full amount the entire time. So let's take an example. If you borrow 100 Rand and you pay off 10 Rand every single month. Obviously, you're not going to pay it off over 10 months because then that would have been no interest, right? So it's not, here's your 100 Rand, you're going to pay 10 Rand off. It will take you longer depending on the interest rate. But now our hire purchase is sneaky, is that after 9 months, you've paid back 90 Rand. So of the initial amount, you only owe 10 Rand left. But in a hire purchase, you're getting charged interest on that full 100 Rand still. So if you're getting charged 20%, you're going to pay 20 Rand in interest when you only owe 10 Rand left. You're still going to pay interest on the full amount, which is quite something. Okay, so that's all that said. Let's go into it because, these stories are obviously just, like stories. Okay, that's real life, but let's go through the story. So here's Andy. He's buying a stereo. Stereo, right? Something that look like this, a boombox. Poof, poof. I don't know. It's good, eh? Okay, so there's that stereo, and it costs 14,800 new. Luckily, Andy's got 2,220 Rand in cash to pay, and then is going to get a loan for the outstanding amount. Okay, and that's going to be, unfortunately for Andy, on a hire purchase loan agreement. Now, as soon as you see hire purchase, it's implied that it's simple interest. It won't say simple interest, but it's implied. Okay, and the interest rate is 16%. It's paid over 3 years. So I'm just starting to highlight the bits of the information that are important. Determine the total amount that must be repaid over 3 years. So what's the idea of, how do you find out how much does Andy still have to pay? How much is the loan going to be for? Well, let's dive into it. So for question A, the stereo costs 14,800 and he's already paid 2,220. So that's how much Andy needs to borrow. So calculator to the rescue. There we go. And we've got 14,800 minus 2,220 equals 12,580. Okay, so that's how much needs to be borrowed on the hire purchase. Part B. In B, we asked, what are the monthly repayments? So we're going to need a little bit of work here. So I'm going to work you through this one a bit because you've got another one that you can practice for this. So we need to work out, first of all, how much Andy needs to pay, including all of the interest. So for that, we've got our formula, A equals P, 1 plus IN. Okay, so we're going to see how much does this 12,580 kind of grow to? How much is going to be paid back altogether? So we've got our principal amount, and he's borrowing 12,580 Rand. And the interest rate was 16%. So you've been dying to answer a question, I know. So how would you write 16% as a decimal? Okay, well, that's 0,16. And we're slowly going to get used to that. Okay, times number of years. Okay, well, it's 3 years it's written there. I'm not going to ask you that. So calculator to the rescue. 12,580. And yes, I'm going to ask you what the answer is. So punch that into your calculator as I do. Times 3, because what do you get? S to D. And we've got 18,618, 18 Rand and 40 cents. Okay. So that's how much was owed. That's how much needs to be paid altogether. Now, question for you. How much does Andy have to pay every month and how are you going to work it out? Okay, well, this is being repaid over 3 years. So we're going to take that amount, 18,618,40, and we're going to divide it by the number of months because it's monthly repayments. 3 years, 12 months in a year. Go for it. Okay, so I'm going to do it here, and you've put something there. Divided by, now be careful, I want to divide it by 3 times 12 by 36. And that gives me 517,18. 517,18. There's the monthly repayment. So for 36 months, that's what's coming out of Andy's bank account. Okay, and last question. Green, let's go. Okay, so the stereo was priced at 14,800 Rand. So how much more did Andy end up paying? Okay, so what do you get and how do you get there? Well, Andy spent this amount, right? So that's how much was spent, including the loan. Also, Andy put in that 2,220 Rand initially. So that's how much Andy spent on it. And we're saying how much more was it than the initial price of 14,800. And into the calculator it goes. And I'm going to go here. Let's see. Go for it with me. I'm going to leave this playing and I'll ask you once I've put it in the calculator. Dot 40 plus 2220 minus 14,800. And the question is, what do you get? SCD 6038 Rand and 40 cents. So for this luxury of being able to borrow money to be able to buy this and get the stereo straight away, and you spend 6,000 Rand extra. Now, I don't want to over moralize all these things. It's just interesting to see and start getting a sense of what these stories say. It's hard to know because 16%, would that be a real life loan? Well, actually, sometimes loan sharks charge 20%, or the costs are hidden in other ways. So that's how this scenario worked out. I don't know. It's interesting that, we got something that we can think about what that story was. There are a few more examples, and I think we'll kick that off in the next video. So until we get there, of course, it'd be nice if you made it nice.